Welcome, everybody. This is the KubeVirt community meeting, March 27th, 2019. This is the last of the daylight savings confusion episodes. Next week we'll be back to our normal time. And jumping into the agenda and notes, the first thing to point out is live migration by Vladik. The link is in the document, and just wanted to say this PR is merged, so this is the last major portion of the live migration effort. So thank you for that, Vladik. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that? Okay. And next up, we have the KubeVirt operator OLM and marketplace integration by Mark.
Yes, last week I reported that the installation of the operator works, but updates not yet. The reason was that when you update the operator, you need to put the replaces field in the new cluster service version manifest, and you also need to contain the old manifest in the new bundle. So I solved this problem by downloading the old bundle from Quay.io, extracting the old manifests which I need, putting them to the new folder where I generated the new manifest, and re-upload everything together to Quay.io. And that works. I recorded a demo just today showing this, and the pull request is not merged yet, but ready for review. That's it.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any questions on that?
Yeah, so hello, this is Fabian. I hear about KubeVirt and actually wonder, does that mean I can now update my KubeVirt deployment out of the box, or are there still some things to be solved?
Not yet. This is only updating the operator itself. That the operator then updates KubeVirt is work in progress in another pull request by David.
Thanks. Oh, by the way, do you know the status of that one, as you mentioned it?
It's on my to-do list for review.
Okay. Okay. And don't mention more, then I have to ask about that as well. Thank you very much.
I missed typing down your question, Fabian, if you could repeat that.
Yeah, I'll put my question down there.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and I think we're ready for the networking update.
Okay, I can do that again. So there's a bunch of stuff. First, we're working on the new operator for networking pieces that are not core KubeVirt. I posted a link there. It's called Cluster Network Add-ons Operator. It's under KubeVirt organization. The goal of this operator is to deploy maybe Maltas, depending on whether it's already deployed, then plugins like OVS, SRIV, bits and pieces, create network attachment definitions, like stuff like that. So this all goes in this operator. The idea you deploy just this single operator, you create a config that lists the types of plugins you want and a configuration for your networks, and then everything is deployed as needed. It is not a hyper-converged operator, which is a separate operator, but hyper-converged operator, my understanding, it will use this network add-ons operator to deploy networking pieces too. So it's kind of like lots of layers of operators here. So it's this operator is still up in active development. We're still sticking like even basic pieces in place. So lots of work going forward. Now for the KubeVirt core, so we discussed the previous times several things around Maltas annotations for networks. So one was the plan to switch to JSON format from a simple list. That we did. It is merged. Now the second bit that required this JSON format change was propagating MAC address, custom MAC address, if it's selected by KubeVirt, down to a CNI plugin layer through these annotations. And so that CNI plugin has a chance to configure the backend to work with this custom MAC address. Sometimes it works because you don't need specific configuration on CNI layer for the MAC address, but sometimes it doesn't. Like one example of a plugin that doesn't work properly is OpenShift SDN. You cannot use custom MAC addresses there. I'm not saying that now you can, because I think they still need to add support for the MAC address attribute in the network annotation. But at least now this path is unblocked. So basically, this piece is also merged. So now CNI plugins get the MAC address. They have a chance to act on it, and then, yeah, assuming everything, all the pieces are working together, everything should work. Now, what else? I'm not sure what this VNC implementation design doc is. Maybe Sebastian can help me with this.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yes. So this is a document that I would like people to review it. We are trying to find a different way to implement our VNC. Right now, we are some type of abusing the Kube API to create a WebSocket tunnel to the Virt API and then run the kube exec command and get the console and the VNC. And this is something that we want to change because some guys from OpenShift tell us that they may be going to block the ability to open a WebSocket through the API of the OpenShift itself. So this can break our implementation right now. So there are these different types of solutions there, and I would like to add more if anyone have a good idea for that. And that's it.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello, Sebastian. First note, let's keep that. I'm strongly voting for keeping that functionality, but I do understand that we have a need to provide an alternative solution, so no question on that. But just that OpenShift is deciding to block something, I mean, those are crazy people, right? That doesn't mean that we can't do that in plain vanilla Kubernetes, or others can do it. So I think for admin purpose, I would like to keep that implementation, but provide an alternative, which is then maybe, oh yeah, I had a quick scan over your proposal, which is then using a proxy-like solution. I'll follow that, but I think there are two different pairs of shoes, to provide an alternative path or to drop one of the solutions. Just my take, but I'll take that to the document.
Yeah, I also have a question here, maybe to Roman. I'm not sure who implements right now the console, but I would like to ask why the exec command is going from the Kube API and not directly for the Virt CTL, so it will make easy for the console one. The VNC one, the main problem is if you start, let's say I try to start 10 VNCs, so the Kube API goes to 100 CPU and start to not working so good on my development environment.
Yeah, so there is definitely room to improve the general VNC and console flows right now. So there are two copy operations which you can simply eliminate. There was just a cheap solution to go from Kube API to our API server and then back to Kube API and use exec there again. Instead of that, we should go through Virt handler from Virt API. So right now, like you specified it in your document, we basically have 4 copies or 5 copies which are going through the API server, and we can reduce that to 1.
Yeah, I was thinking to just use the Virt CTL command and do an directly exec to the Virt.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We should instead go. That's not really an option because then we have no. I mean, first of all, we can achieve the same throughput and load on the API server without using kubectl directly. And second, what we would have then is basically a hack to reach our VMs. We wouldn't have a real API. So we should keep the API. and just change how Virt API connects to the QEMU process. So instead of going back to the Kube API server, it should just directly connect to Virt handler, which should do the rest then. That's actually the final goal which we had from the beginning. It was just not implemented right now.
Yeah, just an addition, I think, Sebastian, one of the reasons why we don't want to do exec directly from virtctl is because with the current approach, we hide, the implementation, because semantically we say we connect to the console of the VM. That is what we do, right? We have a VM-based endpoint or VMI-based endpoint. And if we change that to do the exec calls in virtctl, then you need to maintain all that logic. What is the implementation? What do we need to connect to in virtctl, which is a non-goal.
Well, it also means we don't have a real REST API for it.
That as well.
It means you would have to know what happens in the Virt. I mean, you have a REST API from Kubernetes for executing arbitrary commands in an arbitrary environment. That's not really something which will work out. That's not even possible from a security perspective, which we want to have here.
Parts of your sentences sounded like you're doing a proposal. No, just joking.
Okay, sound good. So if you can comment, it will be very
Yeah,
nice.
we'll comment. And thanks for putting it together. It's a nice overview of a lot of options.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, thanks, guys. Are there any questions or comments over the networking update in general?
Well, there was also one thing I wanted to mention. The naming discussion around synonym for Maltus is still hasn't progressed, but we moved it to the Supreme Court, sent to upstream, like the working group discussion mailing list. So now the question belongs there. The mailing thread started today. So there's still no answers there, but hopefully there will be some, and they will give us a better name for their standard, and then we can use it in KubeVirt. So if you have complaints about any of the names proposed, perhaps now a better place to complain about it is there, or because if we said, I think if we said that they should decide on the better name, then we should take part in their discussions now, since we moved it there. Okay. That's all I had.
Yes, so one question, do you plan then to participate in the discussions to urge them to provide a name?
Not sure I get the question. Could you please repeat?
Oh yeah, I mean, if it's about the acronym, right? Are you personally looking into participating in the calls to see that we get an official acronym for that standard?
Well, first, I don't know about the acronym. Second, I don't know whether there will be calls. I hope that we can resolve it in the mailing list. And yeah.
Okay. Do you have a proposal? I mean, that can take some time. Do we have a proposal what we do in the meantime?
I don't think we do anything. Like, why do we need to do anything before that happens? Is there like any functional problem that requires the resolution for that? Because
Sorry,
right now it's just a synonym. It's just like you can already achieve everything functional with what we have.
Okay, sorry. I thought a PR was blocked by introducing that synonym. But
there is no block because we moved the piece, which was the JSON format for the annotations. We moved it out of the PR when it started to look like this PR is going nowhere, like it's slow. So to unblock the integration with the tungsten fabric, which was like the original goal of this PR, we moved this piece out, we merged it. So now the fabric can work with KubeVirt. Apparently, I haven't checked, but it should. And we are left with just the synonym thing, which is arguably not related to Tungsten at all.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That was my bad brain. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome, thank you. Circling back to live migration, we moved on kind of quickly, and I didn't give Vladik a chance to find the mute button. So if we need to circle back and visit anything there, please do.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not much to say. This part is merged, but there are several other issues that I need to fix before live migration will be completed. Yeah. And besides this, I'm working on some documentation because there's not much written about how to even start live migration. Yeah.
So these issues that you mentioned, they're just basically bugs, or?
Yeah, bugs. One of them is on the cryo runtime, and the other one is basically live migration with data volume. There's a PR that fixes the problem, but the test is kind of tricky to implement. But I need to get back and work on it.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions on that?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Fabian. So one question is, great to see that you're working on documentation, because I think there is some interest on that. And actually, the second question is, do you think it's in a state where you can say that it's ready to be tried out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of the tests are passing, and yeah, definitely should be tried out. Yeah, the issue with cryo is that for some reason when you migrate a VM with the container with the data container, so basically this the container that provides this registry disk doesn't go away after live migration is done, and this is just happening on cryo. And yeah, I was breaking my head yesterday. Still no good progress there.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions or any other questions on that?
Kudos, I forgot to say that. Nice one.
All right, moving on to a discussion about Hyper-V enhancements from Francesco.
Hey, that's me. So let me summarize the question. We have a Hyper-V support in KubeVirt. We want to support more flags and to make Windows guest works nicely. This is the whole purpose of Hyper-V. In the last couple of weeks, an issue unfortunately arose. That is, we have a dependency also on the host kernel, on the machine which is running all our containers, all our VMs. We need to be sure that the host kernel is also up to date and capable to actually support all the Hyper-V flags we require, either implicitly using templates or explicitly from the user. So we discussed a couple of approaches in the last days, and we reached agreement just today about how to fix this in a manageable and maintainable way. Long story short, we're going to expose the Hyper-V flags like we do for CPU features. And after that, we are going to enhance KubeVirt core to make a scheduling decision based on the Hyper-V feature request and what is supported by the node. One key thing that I forgot to mention also previously is that in the common case, Hyper-V features are supposed to be there and working. I think we have multiple evidence that it is a rare case on which the host kernel is not up to date. This is actually supposed to be rare, but still we have to deal with that and to deliver a good experience. So in the coming days, I'm going to update the NFD plugin, which the team I'm working into, the SSP team, is maintaining, to expose those flags. And after that, I'm going to resubmit or help shape another KubeVirt core patch to make use of those labels. This is what I have.
Just one question. So would you recommend to turn on Hyper-V features for Windows VMs?
Totally, yes. Okay. This is actually, well, the QEMU developer said also on record on, for example, on DevConf Brno conference, you expected to, and you encourage to turn on all the feature, because in the common case, they help, worst case, they do nothing. Actually, if what could happen if the host kernel doesn't support Hyper-V feature, the VM won't start. So it is easy to detect.
Okay, so and I think that's mainly for performance reasons, right?
Also for stability.
Okay.
Stability. There are reported blue screens of that fix, or however they are now, which color they are now on Windows 10, fixed by the Hyper-V announcement.
Cool, thank you.
Sorry, I'm here. I was just typing, capturing all that. Thank you very much. Next up, we have a conversation about the hyper-converged operator, Fabian.
Yeah, I thought it was time because it was requested in the mailing list. So just a word, we here at Red Hat, we're working on something called a hyper-converged cluster operator. That is actually a component to set up or to bring up KubeVirt in an environment which we think is or to us, right, the environment we are optimizing it for. So with hyper-converged cluster operator, we want to unify, to bring up KubeVirt, to bring up everything, all the infrastructure components for KubeVirt to operate nicely. So networking, storage with Ceph, for example, I mean, that's pending. And other things like NFD for just what we discussed, right? Like the Hyper-V features to expose them and allow scheduling. So yeah, again, that is, I think, one of our high-level use cases for KubeVirt to we're working on, just to share that. It's our opinionated version of KubeVirt.
So when you're saying this, what you're basically talking about is on top of just KubeVirt, now we're talking about a configuration of KubeVirt in order to make it run well?
Well, KubeVirt by itself is running well. It's running awesome, right? It never ran better, let's put it that way. Or it's running better every day. What I'm saying is that with this configuration, the hyper-converged operator setting up, like also what Ihar mentioned, right? We know that KubeVirt has SRIV support, but today, if you deploy KubeVirt to a cluster, doesn't mean you can use SRIV out of the box because you don't know if any SRIV-capable device plugins or supporting infrastructure was deployed. So the hyper-converged operator will contain all the components you need in order to use all relevant features from our perspective, from our opinionated view, to use KubeVirt. And that includes, you want to use storage. So we make a decision on what storage we provide. You need to use networking. So we make a decision what networking infrastructure you should be using, which is Multus in our case. And we probably will deploy also the SRV related stuff, and we'll deploy NFD for you so that you can schedule according to your Windows needs, that you can pass through an SRV device if you want it and want to get raw or high performance. But this is, this is one specific configuration of KubeVirt. You don't need it to run KubeVirt, but in this set of configurations, in our opinion, it will run best. But again, that's just our specific view on what is best. I think we know there are more ways of a best configuration for KubeVirt because it's use case dependent. Yeah, I think that's I would underline that. It's a use. It's for our use case. It's an optimized configuration and deployment of KubeVirt with additional components. Sorry, I was speaking a lot and fast to you. I think it was hard to keep up with that.
I think I mostly got it. Thank you. Are there any other questions on this? All right. Is there anything else we need to bring up for the agenda and notes today? All right. Go on.
There was an echo, or it was Vladik.
Yeah, it was me, but yeah, I don't know if it's a. I'm scared to go back to the to the Hyper-V conversation, but it's okay.
No, feel free.
Yeah, just a quick question, just to conclude for myself. If we know that we want to enable those features regardless all the time, and it is the best thing to do, then why just not to enable them and then try? If we know that this is Windows, Why just not to enable it? And then if we couldn't, just retry without all the scheduling overhead.
I think the problem, and I'm speaking out of turn here, but I think what I heard the problem was is that if they're enabled and required and they're not present by the provided by the node, the VMs won't be able to start.
Okay, so we will just retry without them.
Well, my take is that I don't have any opinion. I'm fine with you, KubeVirt core guys want to do. I'm fine. Well, the approach I followed in my past PR was that since all the individual low-level flags were exposed, I just followed suit. In my opinion, according to the KubeVirt experience, what's best is that, okay, this is a Windows VM, you want it fast, so we enable all the Hyper-V features, maybe using the labels and not trying to do. So this is my take, but here, I'm here to help, so whatever you guys want to do, it's fine by me.
Okay, thank you. Does that answer the question, Vladek?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine either way. But yeah, I didn't find an argument why just not to enable it by default. But yeah, all right. Thanks.
Okay. Moving on, I guess, to the open floor section, unless there's any last call for agenda and notes. All right, open floor. Just a reminder that we're once again changing daylight savings. This time Europe is moving to daylight savings. So the apparent time of this meeting in the United States time zones will change back to 10 a.m. So it'll be 4 p.m. CEST and 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I believe in the last 24 hours, the European Parliament voted to abolish daylight savings starting in 2020. That's good news. If we can get the U.S. to follow suit, this madness can end.
2021.
2020, my God, 2021. Okay, so it's still years out, but there's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Well, there are still years out until it will be effective. So let's see. You know, a lot of PRs can. Everyone.
And we need to decide which time we keep, winter time or summertime.
But we digress. All right, next topic for the open floor, compile and run KubeVirt on the PowerPC 64LE architecture. I'm not sure who put this note in, so I'll just turn it over to...
Hi guys, it's me. Can you hear me, by the way? Yeah, great. So yeah, we have some guy from the community that currently works hard to compile and to run KubeVirt on PowerPC architecture, and you can check the issue and you can check the PR. It's just some early stage PR with some hard-coded variables, because it's like we need to change a lot of things, not a lot, but some things under our code that we also hard-coded, like emulated type machines and architecture that currently we don't have possibility to change architecture from our API. So it still does not work. I hope today or tomorrow it will start to work. But I just wanted to share that yeah, we have some work regarding this, and I hope in the future we will make it more easier to develop for cross-platform and all this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, crazy work. I actually wonder what impact that will have on actually CPU family and machine types support. But let's see.
Yeah, regarding the machine type, you already need to just to extend kubeconfig to include P-series machine type, except of Q35.
Yeah. Let's see. But do you know if the community member was able to launch a VM already?
He currently has some problems with Virsh capabilities. I hope it mostly connect to the machine type, so he currently trying to change the machine type under KubeVirt config and just relaunch it. The additional problem is that after changing the KubeVirt config, you need to restart all relevant components because we currently do not accept runtime change of the configuration. Also, some problems that I believe we need to to change in the future. So yeah, like I said, I hope today or tomorrow we will have some real result.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you. One more note about the KubeCon EU gathering. I think it was Fabian.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the details, but I wanted to slip the word that we're planning to do a gathering at KubeCon Europe. So whoever is interested, join us there to speak about anything. That's it. We'll share more details on the mailing list.
Awesome, thank you. And any other topics to cover today? All right, thanks everybody. See you again next week.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.